What's going on, YouTube? I'm sorry that I keep doing these randomly. I was about to go to bed. It's a little after 1 in the morning on Wednesday, well, now Thursday. But I did want to give you guys an update, especially since I don't really remember too much about my last video, but I remember I was dead tired, so I'm sure it wasn't too enthusiastic, and I wanted to give you some kind of reprieve as I've been given some. The site is up. We ended up, if you saw the other episodes, there's, I don't know, I think at least two about the site. Quick update, or a quick catch up to speed if you didn't see it, or summary, because I know I probably just drone on. Anyway, last Monday, our existing site crashed. Our new site was a couple of weeks away from being done. We kind of rushed that towards the end of the week. We went live with it, I think Thursday night, and I think I was able to celebrate that very briefly. But I celebrated that in the private group, the Meal Prep Mafia, their Facebook group, Meal Plan Mafia. Sorry, I keep on switching them because they're interchangeable. Meal Plan Mafia. I remember it's because we plan, Meal Plan Mafia. We have a plan. So I shared that with them, and then I think I told you guys in the video how bad reality got after that. We had the site crash on us, and it was pretty rough. That was Friday night. Saturday through today was basically operating without a website. People could go on. At some parts, they couldn't even. At some points in the last week and a half, they couldn't even go on to the site. Then we at least got to the point where the site was functional. The menu wouldn't come up, and we've had all sorts of issues. We had customers who had tens of thousands of dollars in credits. I myself, among some other people, but I myself had over $20,000 negative in credits because there was just a bunch of test data. But needless to say, that freaked a bunch of people out. We gave out a bunch of money just because people were able to take advantage of having these credits that they didn't pay for, and it was our fault. It's we're gonna, when the dust settles, I guess we'll try to reach out to those people and see what we can do, but it's kind of our fault. We don't want to make the relationship awkward and lose them as a long-term member because of a mistake that we made, and we don't want to make it awkward because we don't want to make them feel like thieves or anything, because they're not. But we missed out on a lot of money. But I'm so happy right now that the site is live. We definitely have a lot of bugs, but yeah, it is live. So that was the update I wanted to give you guys. Some takeaways. There's always so many lessons to learn, and there'll be so many more to learn, but definitely I think that I would have some kind of an incentive for the programmer to finish on the deadline, a bonus or something like that. Ideally, I think I would like to negotiate something where they don't get a large chunk until the end, because what happened with this, I believe it was originally 6 equal payments, and things kept on getting behind and behind, and there were payments based on milestones, but even that last milestone kept on we had to drag it out. So it becomes, in a situation especially where it turns out to have a lot of work sandbagged, or if they come up to some unforeseen issue that makes that last 10% all of a sudden very hard, and they only have one more payment from you, and they have new clients who are paying them new checks, and there's easier objectives for them to hit if they're unlocking. So let's say, just to give you guys an example, if you haven't done a software development project or any kind of project like that, what you'll do is, let's say it's $100,000 site, they estimate. You say everything that you want it to do. I want it to do this, that, the other thing, member portal, crediting features, coupon features, yada, yada, yada. They say, all right, it'll be $100,000. A lot of times they'll give you a scope of all of the work that's going to be done, and what the features and all that kind of stuff, and then they'll give you a timeline, and a lot of times they'll break it up into certain stages based on what has to be built out, or maybe you're able to have a 1.0 and you launch with it. In any case, they'll normally break it up into these milestones. So that's why I alluded to with the 6 payments. They're based on milestones. So once this part is done, even though what sucks with this is we can't put the site up and test it. So it's like we went through some stuff. He's like, all right, this stuff is done. Unlock the payment. here's, this amount of money. Boom, 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 does some more stuff. All right, this stuff is done. And again, we can't read the code, so we didn't know. And it turns out there was a lot of stuff that once we hired somebody else to get in there and figure out what was going on, there was a lot of stuff that was kind of just copied and pasted in there. And normally, what they'll do is maybe paste in, kind of like an outline of a code, or they'll put in some code that's very similar in another site, and they'll go in and customize it so it works the way you need it to in that section, or what have you. And it seems like that's what his intention was, and then he never got back around to it. Maybe he's juggling too many projects we don't know. But like I said, he got down to that last milestone, and that last milestone is now originally 1/6 of the entire payment. That means he already got 5/6 of it, and the incentive isn't there. And especially when they came up with an issue where the original site was actually hacked, not on anything like anything crazy, but they put in a bunch of dummy data and a bunch of dummy orders. So nobody knew about that. That's something they discovered in that last kind of 10%, that last 1/6, and it all of a sudden made the job a lot harder. So again, his workload in his perspective with us just went up to here. The pay, it went down to here because he already got most of it, and then he's got all these new clients. So it's human nature. I could see it happening, and that's one thing you definitely want to hedge against. It's hard to plan out every little detail with software. So a lot of times you'll come out into, especially when you're doing something new, the novelty of this industry makes it kind of difficult. But after 6 years, I think the piece of software that we've got in the works is going to be pretty magnificent, because it's all of our ideas put out, and as long as the code is done the right way and the ideas work the right way, I think it's going to be something pretty amazing. And unfortunately, it's so far behind, but I'm still excited because every day we're closer and closer to doing it. So anyway, we went back to the old site. We fixed that. We fixed the error. There was some kind of outdated code, and it just messed a whole bunch of stuff up. So again, recap. Monday, old site broke, jumped into the new site too early by the end of the week, found out there was way more bugs than we anticipated, so we had to jump back off that and rush to fix the new site, the old site, which just went up today, and now the new site is going to be pulled off, fixed, and that's the piece of software that has been on the 24th of March. It'll be 1 year since the project started. It was originally supposed to be a 3-month project. After discussing the scope intimately, things happen. So beware of software projects. Some other stuff that happened with the team, we lost a couple of guys, and it sucked. It was really, really bad timing, and it just made things hard. But what was great is we were able to pull together. We called some people in. We dove right into it. Got right into handling customer service, and unfortunately sales has been neglected, but there wasn't a whole lot of sales to do without a site, so it was just a lot of customer service. And you can imagine, with the site being down and a pandemic going on, we were crazy busy. And today I was actually exhausted when I left. I kind of just got a second wind when I was thinking about stuff, and wanted to put out a quick video just to kind of almost like a journal for myself, but also to share this stuff with you guys, give you guys the update. So some of the bugs with the new site. Well, we've got some billing issues. Some people are getting some extra charges, which is never good. Some people we had the credit issue fixed, so thankfully we're not giving out too many free credits. Yeah, just some little issues. One of the issues, it's thankfully a lot of people are being very supportive. I think they've realized that we'll do whatever we can to take care of them, so they know they can share in our frustration instead of direct it at us. So they're frustrated, and you can hear it in their voice, but it's a great opportunity to, when these people call on the phone, even when they're upset, it's a great opportunity to stand out, actually. I always say that there's more opportunity in impressing someone after a failure, because if your business starts off perfectly and you do everything that's expected over and over and over again, they just expect it. So if anything, a little slip up might actually tick them off a lot, because it's like flipping on a light switch. If I flip a light switch and a light turns on every single time, I'm not amazed by it. I'm not like, oh wow, how convenient, now there's light in this room, now I can see in this room. I just expect it to be there. So if your service or your product is always flawless, it's a great thing, but you don't have that opportunity to really stand out in their day. When there is a mistake, you do stand out in their day, and initially it's a negative thing. But if you're able to remain composed and really know how to handle people's situation and show that you're empathizing with them and be very patient, you can actually turn that into a win. And you'll probably see in some of our 5-star Yelp reviews, people have even admitted that we mess up, but we take care of them. And I always tell people, our 5 stars, our reputation, our reviews, our ratings, all this stuff, this isn't based on the fact that we're flawless. We're not flawless. We're a business of people dealing with people. There's nothing flawless about what we do, but we have that mindset where we look at mistakes as opportunities, and these challenges with website being down or billing errors or whatever it is. We look at these as opportunities to show people why we're special, because every business out there is going to make a mistake. You're going to make plenty of mistakes yourself in your own endeavors, and it's inevitable. So if all these businesses are making mistakes, then the differentiator is going to be what happens after the mistake. Do we fight people on credits or refunds? Do we, try to put the blame on them and talk about how they didn't know a certain feature, and if they responded to this text, or if they were to have said that they had an allergy to this, whatever it is, do we put it on ourselves or them? At the end of the day, there's this really good book by Simon Sinek. Actually, all of his books are amazing, but the most recent one is The Long Game. No, The Infinite Game. I'm sorry. Very tired today. The Infinite Game, and it talks about finite games and infinite game. The infinite game is the long game. Finite game is focusing on what is right here and assuming that there's going to be an end to this. There's no end to this. These relationships that you have with members, if you're able to sustain them, they go on and on and on. So why focus on winning this week? Why focus on being right on that one phone call? So that's just kind of the mindset that we have. I don't want to go too long on this video. Again, I kind of just wanted to give you guys the update on the software. Again, it's not perfect. Unfortunately, it's not the new software. I know I've been talking about doing a walkthrough on in the private group, and I definitely intend to do that as soon as the new software is up. I can do a walkthrough on the existing software. Now that it's up, it's going to be very similar. The interface, it'll just, if anything, the other one just has more stuff, and the stuff that it has works. And I've done a walkthrough before, but the order system, a lot of you guys will see in the beginning and end of the videos that I talk about the order system that I created and I give out to you guys for free. It's a order system that I built years ago, and I've built multiple versions of it. We call it the Beast 6 because it's the 6th version. Every time I rebuild it, it's about 40 to 60 hours of work to rebuild it. It's crazy amounts of cross formulations across dozens of tabs on a spreadsheet. So I can give this out to you guys for free. I can show you how to use it. I actually have a video that I made a while ago that shows you all the features and gives you a rundown how to use it. Why am I talking about this old piece of software that we no longer use? Well, because we had to use it this week. The Beast saved us because when our website didn't work and we weren't able to take orders through the website, we didn't have any e-commerce, we had to take them manually. You got to improvise, adapt, and overcome, right? So we were taking them through text, we were taking them through email, we were taking them over the phone, we'd take them through smoke signal, whatever. We'd pick for you if you wanted to do that. So we were spending a lot of time staying very late at night, taking orders in manually, billing manually, old school, just with several times as many members, several times as many transactions. And it was brutal, but it would have been a whole lot worse without the Beast at our side. So it was there's a lot of nostalgia going back through it and working with it again, and remembering how it gets kind of slow when there's too many people on the Google Sheet at one time, and really how much data is going around in that thing. It's really, really complex and kind of scary when you think about how easily you can mess up so much hard work by deleting the wrong cell and just ruining a chain of all these cross formulations. But you got to use it when you don't have software. So yeah, it still works, and even it handles up to 620 tickets. It'd be scary to have that much data in that sheet. When I built it, I actually found the limitations of Google Sheets is 2 million cells of data, and I found that out because I exceeded it when I built it, and they're like, you can't build this part. Basically, a little warning came up. It's like, okay, so that's where I have to trim some stuff off, and I lost a bunch of features, but it still works. Yeah, it's free. It's normally going to be in the links. If it's not in the link of the notes of this video, then check out the other ones. But normally there's something in there, something that gets you to it. So keep an eye out for anything mentioning order system, order tracker, the Beast 6, anything like that. That'll get you to it. And check out mealprepbiz101.com. I have some free downloads on there, as well as the order tracker. Got the ebook. I've got some free videos. The boot camp, how to start a meal prep business in with just $500. So all that stuff together would really get you started. I'd say pretty effectively for nothing. All that information is 100% free. As far as the pandemic affecting business, I know that's what a lot of people are probably thinking about. Right now, as I mentioned in the other videos, we're not having issue with wholesale. Our vendors are telling us that they're not seeing anything. So for now, it looks like this will actually be something where there is an opportunity for food providers such as ourselves to help a lot of people out, and hopefully it'll offset the amount of people who are having to leave, because obviously this is affecting a large amount of Americans financially. Even if they're not being laid off, they might be getting price conscious about a lot of things, maybe tightening up on their spending. I've got some ideas. A lot of it's going to be dependent upon the new software to help out with that, and I'll explain that more when it goes out. I'll show you what I'm talking about. But in any case, hopefully we have enough people who make meal preps a priority and a part of their life, and that'll offset the amount of people, like I said, who are leaving because they can't afford it anymore. But we'll see, and we just have to roll with the punches. We've discussed with the chef what we do as far as trimming back the menu. I mentioned that in another video, trimming down some of the categories to make production easier in case we're short people, or we have to maybe ramp up. That'd be another reason we might have to cut down production. If we all of a sudden had, I don't know, who knows, someone might call us for some kind of a food contract. I mean, people are calling us for all sorts of things. Not only are vendors calling us, trying to sell us stuff because they're losing the restaurant businesses and they're ordering, but we're also having people trying to middleman relationships between us and institutional accounts. So things like they're speaking vague, a lot of them, the ones I've spoken with, and I'm trying not to give any more of them too much of my time, but I do want to hear them out. We're just so busy right now, but they basically are trying to play this middleman kind of situation where they'll hook you up with school or whatever else. I don't know how that's going to work with kids being home and schools being shut down temporarily. But in any case, there are people out there. There are opportunities out there. So we might get a contract with Florida Power and Lighting, and we know a caterer who has a $1 million a year contract with them, and they just have to be ready to provide food for hundreds of their employees with very little notice. So they have to have the refrigeration space, they have to have a menu planned out, and the menu items that they're going to use at that kind of volume are going to be much more simple than what we're doing now. So our menu would have to adjust, but I think people's priorities and expectations are also going to adjust as well when people start looking at this more as a necessity, a way to avoid getting exposed in public, shopping or going to restaurants, what have you, and avoiding the drive-throughs that are obviously going to be very tempting as a healthier, it's ironic that it's healthier in the short term where you're preventing getting the COVID-19 coronavirus, but in the long term, all these drive-throughs being open for the next 18 months, who knows what that's going to do to people's health. And the fact that I'm not going to get into, I guess, all that COVID stuff or talk too much about that. So let's stick to the business. Yeah, there's a lot of opportunity right now. So anyway, we're discussing all the different plans. There might all of a sudden maybe adapts and chickens can catch it. I don't know. Or we'd have to take chicken off the menu. We'd have to adapt some stuff. So there's a lot of things that we could be planning for. I think we're doing a good job at planning for the realistic ones. Not planning on it jumping into another species. I'm not planning on people turning into zombies. I can't plan for what would happen if riots break out, because I mean that's stuff you can't really control once it gets to that level. Not saying it's getting there, but some of the discussions in the office today did get a little bit cinematic, and I was just like, let's pump the brakes because we can, go off the rails worrying about too much. You have to focus on what you can control, accept what you can't control, and learn to change what you can't control. I've discussed this before. Eckhart Tolle, that's my man. I'll bring him up all the time. That helped us get through a lot of this because this was a very stressful situation. The site being down. You guys are, probably having with smaller businesses or smaller sized, clientele pool, I should say. You don't have as many moving pieces. It's a little bit easier to make up the slack or something not happening. But when in someone's entire day is dedicated to manually billing, and even they need help at the end of the day to get caught up before the merchant processing runs, and we're able to get that money the next day instead of having to wait another day to get it, and someone's entire day can be consumed with that because you have that many clients. Those are things that don't scale. That's why it's essential for you to have software in this business, particularly. If you go beyond dozens of clients, you're going to need software because it just becomes insane. Unless you have people in like a one-size-fits-all model where you don't really let them pick, you don't really have too many custom options, it's kind of cookie cutter, much more scalable. But where we're letting them pick, there's 150 items on the menu every week, the menu changes every week, there's just so many variables. Doing it without software becomes insane. And at least we had the CRM. We still had our client relationship manager, so we still had all the access to notes because that's all on a separate piece of software, thankfully. Because at one point we lost our back end, in which case you can call up and I can't tell you anything about your profile. At least with the CRM and those notes, we use HubSpot, by the way. It's a great piece of software. I'm familiar with a lot of CRMs. HubSpot is the best that I've worked with, at least, but definitely check them all out. But in any case, we had the notes in a different, so it saved us. We had the notes in a different database. We still had access to. We could still run reports and text people and email people and call people. So we were dead in the water, but we weren't completely out of the game, thankfully. At one point, one of our phone numbers wasn't working. I know Friday the 13th, if you're watching this video in the future, Friday the 13th was this recent Friday. So there were a lot of jokes about that. Mercury went into retrograde like directly or something on the 9th when our computer crashed, and Mercury retrogrades what a lot of people blame communication and technology issues for. So it was crazy with the markets crashing and everything else. The pandemic, like our volume, I've mentioned in other videos, being an entrepreneur is just like regular life, all the same lessons. It's just the speed and the volume is turned up, and that's what it all feels like. Everyone's dealing with a pandemic, so everyone's got their own emergency, and then we've got our own catastrophe going on without that. And it was so isolated to just our office. It was a handful of individuals, even in our company. So it was kind of refreshing, at least, because the other people in the company, the people in the kitchen, were oblivious to the fact that the website was even down. They had no idea that the business was like day by day in jeopardy. Like, how are we going to get enough money in to stay alive? People are calling us. People are threatening to file Yelp complaints because of our website being down. They've never tried us before, and this has happened before, where people just have the expectation for the website to work. When it doesn't work, they get frustrated. We had this issue happen in the summer where people, one gentleman in particular, contacted us through Yelp saying that he wanted to file do a 1-star review because the website didn't work, even though he never tried us, but it was just because he read the reviews and wanted to try so bad, and we were frustrating him with the site crashing. So the craziest things happen, but fortunately, so far, knock on wood, it looks like we will live to fight another day. And we've got a lot of ideas once we get this new piece of software up. We have a lot of ideas that I think we can do decently through the pandemic and any kind of adjustments that we have to make. But that's at least for what I've been planning for and what I think are realistic potentials. If this gets significantly worse and somehow there's a lot more restrictions than I anticipate, then we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. But right now, everything that I think within reason is stuff that we're planning for trying to keep our eye on. And that's all you can do. So whether or not you're starting out right now, I mean, you might not have even cooked your first meal. You might be hesitating. Right now, people need this. So you might be limited on, obviously, you can't go to gyms and do events, but there's a lot of people who don't care. They just don't want to go shopping right now. And if you don't have to have the best food either. I'm not saying that, everybody's business model has to be, we have to be the best at what we do. McDonald's is a great example of it's not the best product. I'm sure you've had plenty of hamburgers that are much better than anything McDonald's has ever served. But the reason McDonald's is so big is because they're the best at their process, and their process is consistent. And at the end of the day, it's fast. It was revolutionary. I mean, sure, you've all seen the movie, but that's what they're the best at. It's not the product itself; it's the service. So again, don't be afraid and waiting for the best chef or the full menu or being able to do 150 items. Start with 5 items. Start with a lasagna. Start with one item. I dare you. People right now will purchase from you, even if it's one family meal a week, or maybe they'll buy 5 of the same item so that dinner is taken care of, and that's one last thing they have to deal with everything else going on. You never know. So if you haven't started yet, I dare you to try. There's a lot of opportunity right now because this is something that would be a valuable service and help out a lot of people. There's a lot of different angles you can go. I just mentioned the family portions. That's something we're kicking around. We already have family portions on our website. We're thinking maybe that's one of the ways that we can adapt better to this situation and accommodate more people. We have to figure out the logistics of the containers and fitting in bags and how much that's going to weigh and all that other stuff. But it's an option that we're chewing around. So that's a freebie right there for you. But in any case, I promised this one wouldn't be too long. I'm already 10 minutes past that promise. So check out my other stuff. If this is your first video, I don't want to scare you away from this. I want to show you guys some of the doom and gloom that we go through. So hopefully I can help you guys avoid going through it. This is the underlying theme here is watch out for software because it could make or break you, I guess. Plus I threw in some other anecdotes and lessons in there. But it's a great opportunity right now. I'm very optimistic about this. I think that the wholesale B2B food should be maintainable. I think the retail stuff is still just going to be reactionary initially. I think the curfews are going to freak people out. I think if they tighten down on that more, where they're like, can't go out on the weekends or you can't leave your house, if they were to tighten down on that, I think every time they tighten it down, then there's an opportunity to buy. They're going to clean out the shelves. But I think after seeing the shelves replenished enough times, and then we'll see the stuff that we can't get, and it'll be like, okay, so I can't get that anymore, but I can still get this. People will stop freaking out. But we'll see. And roll with the punches. If you guys have any questions, like I always tell you, there's normally links in the notes. You can reach out to me through those. I'll send you my information. I'll send you a bunch more stuff about the videos that are coming up, different opportunities to get more involved, either through, I mentioned the ebook and the free stuff before, but there's also consulting, there's the private group that I mentioned before, and definitely check out my other videos. So thank you very much for tuning in. I saw I had a couple of you guys watching, so I appreciate that. And if there's any questions, let me check the comments first. I'm always horrible about looking at that. No comments, no problem, that's fine. It was crazy late, just wanted to get it out there. But have a good one, guys. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay away from people, and wash your hands.